Good evening, everyone. I'm Akush Lapinder. Welcome back. The government down to the wire in presenting its latest fiscal plan, a roadmap of what it hopes to collect and how its expenditure will stack up, all while reducing the deficit. The Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Peter Turnquist, giving reporters a peek of what's to come, and that's more money for infrastructure. This, of course, considering the aggressive roadwork project the Prime Minister foreshadowed in his national address last Monday.
We anticipate that we will stay faithful to our plan. There may be some adjustments here and there. I believe that you will see a bit more spending on the infrastructure side as we recognize that we need to make up some of the gap in that regard. And there's a number of projects that would have been announced previously that you'll see coming to fruition now. So I think if there's going to be a signal that I would send is that you would see more in the infrastructure side as we go into the new year.
The DPM also since shot down claims that value-added tax will increase, adding that the government's plan to get a grip on debt is working.
I take note of the unfortunate scaremongering that has been being put out by the opposition, which I think is very irresponsible, quite frankly, particularly from the sources that it's coming from. Who knows better or should know better? But be that as it may, I guess they do what they do because they have nothing else to talk about. But at the end of the day, there is not anticipated to be any value-added tax increase. I would only say to the Bahamian people to listen to reliable sources. The budget will be presented tomorrow, and I think that generally speaking, we'll be pleased with the report and what is being anticipated for the upcoming year.
Well, the opposition is predicting that the government will miss its revenue target by at least $400 million. In other news this evening, police and barricades staving off about 20 taxi drivers who this morning awaited the transport minister's arrival to cabinet, all in hopes of hashing out a resolution to unfulfilled promises the government made. These include a change in rental car plates, the lifting of the moratorium on taxi plates, as well as the ongoing issue of tour companies being stationed outside the Lyndon Pinley International Airport, the Prince George Wharf, and hotels. Our BJ McDermott picks up the story from here.
In an impromptu meeting before heading into cabinet this morning, Transport Minister Renwood Wells told taxi drivers that the Prime Minister has appointed a cabinet subcommittee of which he, Labour Minister Dion Folk, Social Services Minister Frankie Campbell, Tourism Minister Dionisio Diagler, and Attorney General Carl Bethel are all members. The ministers are tasked with bringing a solution to the group's lingering concerns.
I'm looking by July for us to be able to come back to taxis, to the taxi industry, to the franchise industry, because it's not just the taxi drivers, it's delivery, it's the private schedule, it's the tour cars, because what we have allowed to take place in the country is really a chaotic and disorganized system. It's been that way over the past 20 years, and I don't want to come with any solution that is not going to be a solution.
But the taxi drivers insist all they have gotten are promises and that they are now looking for results. To that, Minister Wells reminded them that he has only been minister for 10 months compared with the issues that stretch as far back as 20 years.
In that 10 months, I have had a town hall for all taxi drivers. In 10 months. I have also allowed certain things to take place in the industry that really the government should have pulled back on, because we chose not to disturb the industry, which is to allow persons who are operating in the estate of to continue to operate in the estate of. We've also said to those owners who are leasing to not disturb the industry until the government is able to come back. And for you to say that we are not answering or we're not giving answers, that's not representative of what has taken place.
Well, following the meeting, Bahamas Taxi Cab Union President Wesley Ferguson told the press he and his members will not be satisfied until they have results.
Well, you're never satisfied because we still have nothing in hand. We still have some more promises. So satisfaction is when you see something being done, when you have something tangible.
But you'll give him the time?
Yeah, I'll give him the time. It's only reasonable to give the minister time. More time, not even time, more time.
The Taxi Cab Union is giving the minister until the end of July to address their concerns. Reporting for Jcntvnews, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Meantime, both the Tourism Minister and the Minister of Labor is calling on hotel union execs and hotel officials to come to the table and negotiate. This in the face of the union's threat to take a strike poll come Thursday following the withdrawal of 4 main benefits: the elimination of the 15% gratuity, the payment of Christmas bonuses in January as opposed to December, the elimination of the Christmas ham and turkey, and the Christmas bonus being based on the profitability of the hotel.
You know, this is a negotiation process, and I don't want us, and I implore both parties not to get the workers, the hotel workers, prematurely upset. The employers have come out with their ask, and the response by the union has been quite clear.
Now, at a time when tourism here is booming, Minister de Aguilar acknowledged that any industrial action in the hotel industry would be devastating.
55% of our economy is based on tourism. Taxi drivers, straw vendors, hotel workers, restaurant workers, many tens of thousands of Bahamians rely on the tourism industry for their livelihood. With the coming on stream of Bahama and with the growth in the other hotels, 5,000 to 6,000 additional workers have entered into the tourism market and are benefiting directly from the tourism market. So we have to be very, very careful. And I implore both parties to get into a room, let calmer heads prevail.
Labour Minister Dion Fowkes, meantime, adding that he is empathetic to the union's plight and that talks will continue.
At the last meeting, it was agreed that exchange of dates would happen to begin the negotiation for a new contract. That actually happened. The hotel union sent in for dates for next week. I think it was the 4th and 5th and 6th. Unfortunately, the Hotel Employees Association, they're not available for those dates. Their lead negotiator will not be available until June the 27th. I spoke to the president of the hotel union this morning, Mr. Woods, and he informed me that they have not yet agreed to June the 27th, but they are going to have discussions with the representative from the Hotel Employees Association to see what date they can agree to.
Minister Fowkes says the issue is a top priority for the government. Well, last night's fire that destroyed 2 of BPL's main engines to be thoroughly investigated and independently. Works Minister Desmond Bannister making that commitment to Bimini residents this morning.
We expect power to be restored out of time at 1 p.m. today. I wish to commend BPL's hard-working staff working through the night. For information, BPL has 5 staff members working to plan the building. Each have at least 30 years experience, each of them. We are forever grateful to them. Morning, Sean.
Now, BPL CEO Whitney Hasty was among those on the ground in Bimini today assessing the extent of the damage there. Police say they were alerted to the incident shortly before 9 p.m. Officers and Bimini volunteer firefighters, along with volunteers from the Bimini Resort and the community, assisted in extinguishing the blaze that destroyed 2 main engines of the power plant. Power was restored to the Baileytown and Porgy Bay area in North Bimini after midnight. Works Minister Desmond Bannister today apologized for the inconvenience. Also weighing in on the issue was the tourism minister, who feels the fire will have the most devastating impact on Bimini's thriving second home market.
Yes, this is very concerning, and I'm sure BPL is working as hard as they can to restore the power, but we all know it's been a problem down there for a while, and BPL has been facing some enormous challenges with that.
Bimini is home to Resorts World Bimini, as well as smaller hotel properties. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.